I'm literally fighting for my life. Like, all I wanted was to breathe. Sorry. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Firstly, please do like, comment and share and subscribe. I always forget to say that. So I thought before I get into this heavy video that I should please ask everybody to please do subscribe to the channel. For those of you that have continued to support me, thank you so much. And for those that are new watching, please do comment and like and share and subscribe. I appreciate all the love I've been getting. So yeah, as you can see by the title of the video, this is a bit of a heavy video for me. I've finally decided that this is the day that I break my silence. I think there was a time where I considered, I think it was around 2019, where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to share. I had joined some kind of like Me Too movement groups that, you know, they're like, okay, if you're ready to share your story, go ahead. And I couldn't. I think I realized I wasn't ready. I wanted to, but I wasn't ready. And I think I finally reached the point where I feel comfortable enough to share the story. For many people, it's going to be a shock because it's not something I've told people. I think the most people that would probably know is my closest friends, because they are the people that I probably felt like it was easier to open to, without it causing any drama, because also this story and the situation involves family members, and I just didn't want it to be a big thing. And me sharing it now as well is not really trying to create conflict for the next person. I will not name them or shame them, none of that stuff. I will not give names. Just sharing my story. Also somewhat of a healing process for me, because a part of me has always felt like I don't want to have regrets on, I wish I told my loved ones what I've been through or what I'm going through. I find it tough to open up to them about such things, because I also feel like, you know, when your loved ones know what you're going through, you feel like they will carry your pain. I don't know. I never wanted also like people to just, it's not for me to create conflict or for people to feel pity per se. It's just I'm ready to share my story and heal in the process, because child, it's a lot going on. And yeah, I think this is just the best way for me. So yeah, let me just get into it. I will try not to get too much graphical about things and go too deep into the story, so it can be very obvious about who it is. Those certain people will definitely know, family members maybe, who this is, but yeah. So I will share everything from what happened when I was a kid and just come to now, of like in terms of like, have I seen him since then? How did that make me feel? And how it's affected my life till this very point, because it has, and it still is. And there's a lot that has to be done in terms of healing for me, but this is definitely a start. So I am breaking my silence, and yeah, let me stop mumbling and rambling, and just get into the story. Sorry. So back when I was a very little kid, because child, a person is old, very old. I was in primary at the time. This happened to me around grade 1, grade 2. So at the time, I when I was in primary school, I would go to aftercare. So there's a nursery school I went to which also had an aftercare. So immediately from school, the aftercare would come and take us to the aftercare, get homework done, whatever, all that stuff. And then from the aftercare, I'd go to grandfather's house. Yeah. So I would go to his home, and so there was a cousin of mine at the time who was studying. He was in varsity, and I will not tell you, I don't know, I can't remember what he was studying, but he was in university and I was fairly young. And I just remember this one day how it all started is he called me to his room. So so this particular house has like rooms outside, and then there's like this room next to the lounge. It's kind of like on its own. It's like, no, it's a dining area, and then there's like a room of when you pass the dining. So it's like kind of secluded. But anyway, that was his room at the time, because the other rooms outside were occupied. I will not mention, but it was in Johannesburg, and leave it right there. So he stayed there, and it was great for him because it was literally walking distance to his university. So I guess I can understand why he stayed that side, closer to school. So the one time he called me into his room, he was like, well, would you like some candy? I mean, I was about to say every single kid loves candy, but probably not. I know there are a few kids out there that are not too crazy about candy. But unfortunately that day for me, it was my downfall. But anyway, I was a kid, and I was just like, okay, I mean, who would say no to free candy, right? And as a kid, I'm a kid. I don't think anything bad of the situation. Nothing had happened to me prior to that situation that could have made me feel like I should be uncomfortable around this person. Remember, he's a family member, and there's people in the house, but like not necessarily, like his room was very secluded. It's like, it's very tough to really hear anything that's going on in there. And I know in like the lounge, the TV was always on and loud, and you know, people going in and out, but like yeah. Anyway, so I went to the room, and here I am, the little child in me, excited to go and get some candy. And Lord behold, that's not what happened. Anyway, we went into the bedroom. He told me to sit on the bed, and that's what I did. Sorry, I sat on the bed, and he closed the door. Still, nothing to me says this is off. I'm just waiting for my candy. Like, dude, candy, you know? I'm not even impatient. I just know I'm about to get candy, and I'm like, that's it. I'm happy. And the candy never came, and I can't even tell you like how we went from I'm supposed to get candy to him being on top of me. So he did not rape me, he molested me. So he just kind of like, you know, I don't know, people penetrated me like with his clothes on, like dry humped me. I don't know what term you would use for it, but apologies, just a moment. My phone is ringing, but actually no, let me just leave it. So yeah, at the time he was just like, he pushed me onto the bed. So I laid on the bed, and he got on top of me, and he was just humping, and just, I don't want to get too graphical about it, but it was a lot, you know. And I remember I didn't understand what was going on. I just, you know, and the panic in me, I think the worst, above and beyond everything that was happening, I think what was the toughest for me is, you know, when he was on top of me, because I was so little and he was big, so I literally could not breathe. So I remember I tried to scream and he would take his hand and cover my mouth, and he would cover my mouth, and because I was fighting and I was trying to scream, I was trying to get him off me, and even in me screaming, I just, I just needed him to understand that I can't breathe. Because in that moment, above and beyond, in that moment, above and beyond everything he was doing, my concern was I can't breathe. I felt like I'm literally fighting for my life. Like, all I wanted was to breathe. And, you know, in me screaming, I was screaming and shouting like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Like, please get off me. I can't breathe. And my biggest issue right now, and I remember, you know, I realized the more I was growing up that I'm claustrophobic by nature. And, you know, I remember people used to say, oh my gosh, that's a white people's thing. Like, hey, when now like black person claustrophobic, you like big words. I'm like, yo guys, it's really like, and at the time for me, I didn't even connect the dots to be like, okay, this is why I don't like being in confined spaces. I don't like, besides confined spaces, I don't like not having control of a situation, feeling like I'm stuck, you know. And I will go on to give it a few examples where I wasn't even in a situation where there was a male around me and I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Or in a situation where there was a male, because I'm not trusting when it comes to men. I don't like to be alone with men. I try to avoid that. That definitely affects my relationships with men, because I don't feel safe around them. So you know, I have been stuck in a lift, I think sometime last year, and it dawned upon me that, okay, this is where it came from. That time when I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm suffocating in this lift, like I can't breathe, and I was panicking. It took me back to that place where, like, I just would fight to breathe, I would fight to just live, you know, apart from everything else that he was doing. So this happened every single day, you know, when you just feel like, I look forward to going to school. I won't lie. I like school for me was like a place where I could just go and just forget my problems for a moment. It was a lot, you know, as a kid. Sometimes school's probably not your favorite place, but it was definitely a place that I felt like I could just breathe, you know, because apart from the whole situation of my cousin molesting me, apart from that, there was a lot as well going on at home. So it was a lot that was happening. And so this continued for quite some time, and it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. It was a lot to deal with. And I remember eventually I didn't have to go to my grandfather's house anymore, and it stopped, and I had not seen him for quite some time. And I remember I don't even know if I should mention this, but I saw him again a few years after, you know, this had happened. I think I was probably in around grade 8. No, it was definitely still primary, maybe grade 7 or grade 8. I can't recall the year properly, but I saw him again, and he tried to talk to me. And I remember there was a funeral, and he tried to talk to me, and I wasn't trying to have it. I really just didn't care to. I tried to avoid him, and there was someone from the family who picked up the fact that I continued to avoid him. Like every time he just tried to get close to me, I just literally run the other way, and someone picked it up. And the someone, I don't want to mention who this person is, asked me like, dude, what's going on? Why are you avoiding this person? And I was like, oh, I don't know if you'd believe me if I told you. And they're like, no, try me. And I remember telling the person that, okay, this person molested me for this period, and this is what he did to me every day. And this person was like to me, oh no, he would never do that, I'm lying. And I was like, you know, if this person doesn't believe me, who would? Right? Who would believe me? No one. So that happened. I didn't see him again for the next, oh my gosh, probably a good decade passed, because now this was probably 2018. I'd assume it was 2017. There was a funeral. One of my family members passed on, and I remember when I was coming back from work, I was working in Midrand. I came back from work, and when I got home, there were like family members at home, and he was one of the people there. And I don't even think anybody actually realized that I didn't even greet him. I greeted everybody in the room but him, and nobody picked it up. And even him, he didn't say nothing, you know. I think he knew. He didn't even look me in my eyes. He didn't look me in my eyes. He couldn't look at me. He just couldn't. And neither could I. Just looked at him. I walked past him, continued to greet other people. And you could tell that's guilt, because if he did nothing, if he felt he's never did me wrong or dirty, why was he not offended by the fact that I didn't even greet him? And that was tough, because I think I remember crying for the whole week. The whole week I was drained. I cried myself to sleep because I was in shock. I couldn't believe that that this person just decided to, well, that I saw him, you know. I hadn't seen him in years. I didn't expect it. It was a lot, you know. And I think it still affects me to this day, because then it affects my relationship, the relationships that I have with men, because, you know, I remember even back then, while he would molest me every single day, you know, I stopped fighting. You stop fighting because you realize that no one's gonna save you. No one can protect you from him. No one can see it. I was going through the most, but because there was so much happening, no one even paid attention to the fact that I was terrified of this person. No one picked it up. And that was a lot. It was a lot to just feel like, just accept the situation for what it is. Like I stopped fighting. You know, when you get to a point where you feel like anybody can have their way with you, you know, I have a tendency to just, you know, they say when you're faced with trauma, or when you're faced with the situation, you either fight or you're on flight mode. Like I literally just, I freeze. I just learned in that moment that, you know, if you stop fighting, the sooner you stop fighting and let him do whatever he wants to do, the sooner you'll get out of this room. And that's just what I felt at the time. It was just like, okay, this is a norm. Every day you come from school and this is what's gonna happen to you. And yeah, so I realized that there's a situation that happened last year where it was very similar. And I found myself in a situation where I was just like, well, you know, if this person just does what they need to do and gets their way, and the sooner they're done, then I'm okay. Like just get it over and done with, and then I'll be fine. I'll deal with whatever I have to deal with on my own. And it's affected me tremendously. And I remember, you know, I remember back in SA, I once watched on SABC, they were talking about, you know, people that have been whether raped or molested, just any sexual abuse that you faced since you were a kid. Like, you're bound to face it more than once in your life. And it's happened before that, you know, there was a family friend that made me feel very uncomfortable. And I don't know, I just, you know, I remember I was going to, you know, you ask yourself how you end up in these situations where things just it just keeps happening. It doesn't stop. So anyway, I had gone to, close to my house, there's a Pick n Pay, usually where we'll buy like food and all this stuff. And I had just bought a few things so we could go make dinner and lunch, just to get a few things. And I remember seeing at the time, it was, I'll put it as a family friend and I'll leave it there. And so this man whom I know and I grew up around says to me, hey, let's go. He was right there. It's like, I'll drop you off at home. And again, I don't know if I'm, you know, sometimes you feel like you literally walk around with the sign that says, I'm the one, go ahead. I'm the one that you can just do as you please. Go ahead. I'm the one that you can just continue to harm, because why? She's the person. Go ahead. She's like, it's just written on my forehead that people can just do as they please. Anyway, I get into the car again. I think nothing of it. This is someone I grew up around. Do you understand? He's always around, at home, around, like he's just. I got into the car. He took his hand and he put it on my thigh and he rubbed my thigh and was like, hey baby, and just started saying disgusting stuff. And I was in shock. Again, fight or flight. I froze. I don't understand. Like, it made no sense to me. Like, what are you doing? Like, it made no sense. And this person continued for a good, I can't even remember how long, you know. He started sending me texts, inappropriate texts, a whole man, my dad, my father's age, probably, just being inappropriate. And I remember opening up about that situation and just being like, okay, this is enough. I'm tired of, you know, the looks, the comments he makes when there's, you know, people are not listening or looking or not around or on my phone. And what was done about it? Nothing. I was failed yet again. And so I don't even know. I wish I even had the answers to say this is what I need to do to start healing. But it's just a never-ending story. But I just pray. I prefer to not anymore put myself in situations where I'm just like around men, or with a man on my own. It's really just made my life difficult. I don't like having any men at my place. I don't like to go to men's places. I don't know if it's because I'm unhealed, I continue to attract certain men, or continue to attract the energy that says, you know, people can just continue to look at me a certain way, say certain things and think it's funny, touch me in a certain way and think it's okay. I don't know what about my aura says it's okay, but it's not. But you know, I'm just ready to kind of start my journey of just finding ways to heal, because I'm tapped out at this point and I'm just ready to heal. So pretty much this is the story of how throughout my life it's just continued to happen and happen and happen and happen, and I don't even know, I don't even have the answers of how I'm going to make it stop. But I guess it's just not putting myself in situations where it could happen. But then again, you could literally be in a club and someone just feels like it's tea time. They don't even need to know you. So I just wish people could stop doing things like this, because they don't understand how they damage a person for the rest of their life. But I pray I heal, because the last thing I want is to take my trauma into my next relationship, or to pass it on to my kids in a way where I'll be super overprotective, because I won't trust my kids around anyone. It's a scary world that we're living in. But yeah, I just thought it was time to share my story. And yeah, guys, please do share if you have a similar story or you've been through something. I'm here to listen, and let's heal together. Otherwise, that's it for me. There's still a lot that, you know, personally I probably need to unpack, but in bits and pieces. You know, I think for now I'll leave it right here. Thank you so much for listening.